Favorite song. Already favorite song on the record. Like, I feel like it needs to just build and build and build and build. Build and build and build and build and build. And then there's like that pause for a second where just the basic riff comes back. And then it just... Open Letter really grew out of a conversation Jeremiah and I were having, and that conversation was out of two conversations we were each having. So he was having a conversation with a friend, and I was having a conversation with a friend, and both of these people struggle with faith and with belief, and one of them is like, I don't think I could ever believe that because of X, Y, Z, and one of my friends was like, I don't think I believe it in that stuff anymore because of X, Y, Z. It's kind of just from the heart with some people we've been dealing with and sort of the big questions about God and about the faith, and trying to raise those questions and not answer them so much as move forward and say that these questions are valuable, but they're not so good that they shut everything down. And just from the heart, just people that we've been praying for and reaching to in our lives.
I think Open Letter is what I'm most intrigued by. I'm having a lot of really good conversations with people who don't necessarily believe the way I do, and to have at least one side of that conversation in a song is pretty unique. My hope for it is that people who don't agree with us would wrestle with some of the same questions that we've wrestled with. And I'd be interested to know, kind of as a starting point for conversation, hey, what do you think about these questions that we raise? You know, we've dealt with them. I'd love to hear how you deal with them.
Well, I knew musically that song was one of my favorite things I wrote. Like, usually in practice we're going hard on each other. We're kind of grinding it out to come to consensus on a song we like, and it goes through a bunch of different seasons and phases, and we strip stuff and add stuff and get frustrated, and we're brothers, and Jeremiah, we treat him as one, so it's very, no offense, say what you mean, we'll figure it out.
It's definitely gotten kinder over the years. 1, 2, 3.
Your hits have never made any sense to me.
You've always said that, but they make perfect sense. You are wanting to hear something that's different than what I've written.
We did have some fun having to figure out how we wanted to count it.
We argued over that, but it's so simple. Is the rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest.
Why?
That's the way it is.
I think it should go.
Agreed, but it starts on a rest. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest.
That doesn't. I don't understand why. What's the point? What are the chords, Jeremiah?
The way the chords hit, he doesn't like.
Let me wear your bass for a second.
Makes sense to me.
But as soon as I played it, my wife came downstairs and I was like, this is one of the coolest things I've ever written. And I know you won't get it yet. I know you won't get it until, but I'm telling you. And the first time I showed it to him, I was expecting to have to really fight for it. And he was like, that's probably the coolest thing you've ever written. I was like, I don't usually get that kind of blatant encouragement. Usually it's like, let's work on it.
That wasn't consistent, because you're shifting a note early and then you're staying on it, and then you're shifting a note early and then you're staying on it. But you get lost in it because it's a really weird pattern. You want to go so Tom York, you're confusing yourself.
I don't want to go anything.
You want to be Tom York right now.
Just because you can't play something doesn't mean you don't know what it is yet.
What is that?
I think what you've proven is...
Do you agree with me?
I'm a little confused right now.
Thank you.
I think you've done a good job of confusing us.
No, because you messed... You did 2 bars of the same thing, and I was finally starting to get it, and then you messed yourself up.
I agree. I messed up, but I'm not saying I don't know what it should be. I just can't play it yet.
I think the reason why you messed it up is because it's ridiculously weird and unnatural. I'm telling you, man, you're in La La Land somewhere.
Think about how you play this, Jesse.
Yes, I know that. I'm not worried about that. I know once we come... What I'm worried about is the beginning making sense. Instead of just being so lost in... all the wow. We don't need to be right because we're just fading in and fading. It's an amoeba, this cool amoeba floating around.
This is top stuff. You make sure you. I don't feel that way.
I like the idea. It's awesome, but it feels like just like.
It's not though. I know exactly where it comes in.
Maybe we're in. Maybe. Why do you have to do it that way? That riff will sound really cool if you just play it straight.
Because that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how I wrote it.
Turn the thing on and you can do anything else. You're done. Don't do anything else.
You just did it my way. That's exactly what I've been doing.
No, it's not. No, see? You went early.
You're late.
Did you hear it? Did you hear that?
You're late.
He kept doing the same thing.
Thank you! Woo! You're not making sense.
No. That's straight. God, if you hear me. Oh, that cracked on that one. I'm good. Yeah, I know. Not. It's an open letter to people in our lives and people we won't meet to wrestle with those questions. But it's also an open letter because the end, the person who's I'm taking the position of that person and I'm asking those questions. And the end becomes an open letter to if there's a God to answer. I think Christian songs far too often are like, here's the problem, here's the answer, it's all wrapped in a bow. And that doesn't relate to a lot of people's lives when it's like, it's not that simple. I think for me, the other thing with that song specifically was to say that these questions are really valuable, but a lot of people throw them around that have been very careless in their spiritual journey. They've kind of like maybe come from a spiritual background or like dabbled with it for a minute, and they deal with questions like, what kind of God makes a world like this? And they go, yeah. And they feel really good about it, and then they just move on and feel like they've done that whole spiritual thing and they can move on to something else. I think those questions are valuable, I don't think they end the conversation. And for me, it's like, yeah, it's a great question, but it doesn't keep me awake anymore at night. Tanner had like MIDI drum, added a second drum part to the second verse and the end of the song, and I always want to do everything live. I want to do as few things fake as possible. So because we're it's not like we're recording to tape or we're gear snobs, but just as much can be us, we want to be us. And he was already gone at that point, and I think Tanner tried to play it. Tanner's better than I am, but Goldman is phenomenal. So Goldman played the second drum part. I wanted to add even another percussion. So at the end of the song, there's actually 4 drum parts. I added a few percussion, and then our friend Dan, he did some drums too. I'm not afraid of them anymore. These questions haven't destroyed my faith. They don't keep me awake. I don't have all the answers, but I know Him.